Hello and welcome to the video. This is a build video on this frame here. Now this is something that I looked at last month, and this is the new Flynoceros Skoll V3. It's the updated version of the very popular Skoll frame with some main improvements, and I feel that you only really get to know a frame and how good it is and how well put together it is in two areas. One, when you build the thing, and second, when you fly it. So in this video, I'm going to show you very quickly how I put this thing together. Now, if you've never built a quadcopter before, this is not going to be of any interest to you. It's going to baffle you with lots of 3-letter and 4-letter acronyms. If you want to build a quadcopter, then check out my quadcopter building for beginners series. Again, I'll put links in the description. Now, last time I went through all the different components. We have some T-Motor F40 motors, we have the Matec F722 flight controller, a nice 4-in-1 ESC, a Runcam racer, and a TBS Unified Race video transmitter as well. So we've got lots of really nice components here that should go together and make a very nice little quad. Now, I always recommend, before you do anything, plug the flight controller into your computer, connect to it with Betaflight, make sure it moves around, just make sure that you can go into the CLI and everything works, click through all the tabs to make sure that everything is all tickety-boo. If you find that it isn't happy down the line when you have soldered everything to it, that can make it rather tricky to return. Now on this, I'm going to change things here while I can, like D-Shot 600, and I've also had a quick look at the ports. There's a huge number of ports on this, so I have an idea for a subsequent video, and I'll come to that at the end. But now we know that the flight controller is all working, then we can actually start the build itself. Now, the manual for the Matec F722 is pretty good. The Matec manuals are some of the better ones out there, and they do go through how you connect everything up. The manual, however, is more aimed at the ESC and VTX combos that you can connect via the little ribbon cable that you get with the flight controller. So we're going to have to figure out how to do all the discrete wiring with the 4-in-1 that I have here. But using that as a guide of where everything is going to be connected, the first thing we need to figure out is where the 4-in-1 ESC is going to fit. So I've run 4 bolts through the bottom of the frame. This is the really nice part about this frame, is that the bolts for the flight controller and the ESC stack are all accessible all the time, even with the arms in place, and we have supports here for either a 20mm or a 30mm mounting holes. So the first thing to do is, on this ESC, I can see that in the corners all of the numbers are written on, so I can see which way around it goes. Now I've 3D printed a couple of little spacers just to lift it up very slightly, and popped in the anti-vibration mounts, and it needs to go on the model so that the pads for the battery connection are facing rearwards, and that way all of the motor outputs for the ESCs are in the right corners. And then we have the cable that comes up that's going to be used to connect everything together onto the flight controller. That's going to give me my telemetry and all my other pieces. Now the next thing to do is to connect the motors to the arms. That's a pretty straightforward job. All I did was use the longest screws in the kit, because these arms are nice and thick, and then run the cables as neatly as I can, popping over a little bit of insulation tape. But what you could do is you could pop the whole arm off while you were doing this and use heat shrink to make it even neater. Now that those two pieces are in place, it's time to break out the soldering iron. So the first thing I'm going to do is connect the little flying lead for the motor, test fit the cover, just see how long it needs to be, soldered an XT60 connector onto the end of a couple of wires of the appropriate length, and then pre-tinned all of the pads on the ESC, and then soldered on the power connection. Next job then is to just work my way around and to make off each of the motor wires as neatly as I possibly can and connect them onto the 4-in-1 ESC. Now I'm going to try and do it so that I'm not covering the bolts, but I'm also trying to keep them as straight as I possibly can to make the installation look neat. So this is what it kind of looks like. It gets a bit snaky at the end. I could have potentially gone over the top of the ESC and done it that way around, but I think this looks okay. So now with all of those ESC wires connected, next job then is to test fit the flight controller and see which way it's going to go round. Now there is an arrow that needs to point to the nose of the model, and we just need to get a rough idea of how everything's going to connect. Now, looking at the manual for the ESC, we can see what all the different wires are, which is battery voltage, ground, which is ground and plus 5 volts, and which is the motor 1, 2, 3 and 4 signal wires, and also which is the telemetry and also the current too. So all I did was then just using the wiring diagram from the Maytech manual to kind of figure out how it all goes together, and that is what it looks like. It looks absolutely horrendous, but luckily this is the underside of the board, so it will be hidden a little bit. I did do a little trick here. I made a little note, you can probably see them here, little marks with a Sharpie pen on the wires coming from the 4-in-1 ESC, so that I could at a glance make sure that I was connecting up the motor 1 signal cable to the motor 1 pad that's underneath. So all of those pads, the majority of them are there, with the exception of the telemetry and the current sensors. Once that's all done, then I can plug that connector into the ESC, and that's going to take care of all the connections between our flight controller and the 4-in-1 ESC underneath it. Next job then is to install the receiver. So unplugging the flight controller from the board, this is where all the connections go for the telemetry, for smart ports, and the ground plus 5 volts, and also the S-bus signal. So with that done, the last things to attach are going to be the camera and the video transmitter. So the first thing I had to do was connect all the wires that come with the TBS Unify Pro Race Edition and pop them on so that I have both the 7 to 26 volts in, I have the data line, and I have the video line in as well. So in this particular image, the red is going to be the power from the battery, black is going to be ground, yellow is going to be for the video in, and green is going to be for the smart audio signal. So what I need to do is then connect all of those onto the flight controller. Most of them go in one corner with the exception of the battery voltage. The battery voltage here is actually orange in this picture. I swapped over that cable because it needed to be so much longer than the rest of them, and I've popped that onto the other side of the pin that's coming from the 4-in-1 ESC that's going to deliver the full battery voltage. Unfortunately, on this flight controller there isn't kind of a VCC pin or filtered VCC, so I am also going to install the capacitor underneath where I've soldered on the battery terminals. Next job then is to install the camera. So we can run it from 5 to 36 volts. We have ground, video, and we also have the transmit and receive pair. Now this is a Runcam Racer, so that it needs to be connected to a UART, and when you do it that way you can access the menu and you can do everything from the flight controller. So to connect that on, I've pre-tinned the pads that I need, which is going to be the ground 5 volts and the camera pad. Now this time the red and green wires at the top are going into UART1's transmit and receive pins, and that is because we're going to use the Runcam protocol inside Betaflight to actually change things on the camera, remove things like the Runcam logo and the pilot ID and the VBAT and stuff that we're not going to need, because all that OSD stuff will come from the flight controller itself. All of those things are kind of in place. The big trick here is just making sure that you leave enough room on all the wires. If in doubt, give yourself an extra centimetre and a half. It's always better to have a slightly longer cable than cut it too short. Now all of those components are connected, I can actually start physically installing everything. So there you can see the capacitor under the power wires. That's just going to hopefully provide a little bit less noise into the video transmitter. So just going to plug in the flight controller into the 4-in-1, pop 4 nuts down on top of those anti-vibration mounts, make sure that the flight controller is facing the right way, and then start to route the cables around. So install the camera in the front and plug in the cable for that. Give it some twisting to keep all the cables together and nice and neat. And then it's just a case of installing the top and using the double-sided foam provided with the TBS Unify video transmitter to pop that into place too. With all that done, then pop back into Betaflight and change all the settings to be what you need them to be. The cool thing is with this is plugging it into the computer also powers the receiver, so that's a very quick bind operation. Again, check out my Betaflight bind and flight guide for how I set everything up. There's only a couple of things that you probably need to think about. First one is this is how I have set up my UARTs to control everything. So UART 1 is set on the right hand side as the RunCam protocol to run the camera. UART 2 is set to serial receiver. UART 3 is set to smart port, which is sending the telemetry back down. That's the extra cable that was connected onto the FrSky receiver. UART 4 is set for the ESC so that we can get the telemetry back if we want to use that. That is a wire that is on there from the 4-in-1, so I've connected it. And UART 5 is set for the TBS smart audio so that we can configure the video transmitter. And that is all of the UARTs used. So although there was an awful lot, we've had to use every single one. The only other thing is mentioned in the manual, and that is the scaling for the current and voltage sensors. Just copy what I've done here, and that should read right. So with all the stand-up setup stuff, had to go into BLHeli and reverse 2 of the motors, and that's the only hiccup that I ran into. That the ESC in here is running a later version of the BLHeli 32 firmware, version 3.26 I think it was. Although I was trying to change the rotation direction using the BLHeli 32 suite on my computer, I had to get the very latest version because it wouldn't understand what that latest version of the firmware was talking about. So that was the only problem I got. I was scratching my head for a minute there because although it was reading the configuration, nothing was appearing in the window. So if I built another one, what would I change? Well, it's been a really fun build, but I think that I would probably, next time I built one of these, work a little bit harder to lower the stack height to potentially fit a third board on the top, maybe like a RunCam split or a RunCam hybrid or something like that. There is lots of room on here and lots of options to put your own action camera at the front. But I quite like to mount the VTX and things in the middle. It gives a straighter shot out the back to where the antenna plugs in. If I order another one of these frames, I probably won't go for the 20mm wide one, although it looks really nice. It gives you a little bit of a problem trying to fit everything inside. It is a little bit tight in here, and the width of the VTX is only 20mm. So once it's in there, it's a very snug fit. Having a slightly wider top deck would have given me a lot more options for how to mount everything. I probably would use another VTX next time as well. The VTX that's on here does get very warm even at 25 milliwatts, so be aware of that. Keep it in lots of airflow. Don't have it tucked away where it's not going to be in any kind of breeze to keep it cool. If I built another one, I would probably get the companion ESC sets that go with the Matek F722 standard, because that would make the wiring an awful lot easier and it would have made all of the connections a lot faster. Looking to the future, well, the thing is I've got loads of Betaflight quads already, so do I need another one? And I've been thinking about this. These arms are the longer arms, so they potentially could support 6-inch props. So I might swap these 3-bladed 5-inch props for 2-bladed 6-inch props. That'll give me a little bit more efficiency. The other thing that I'm thinking of doing with this model, and I kind of want to ask you for your feedback on this, is we don't need to have UART 1 connected for the camera control. It's a little bit of a waste of a UART. However, underneath the board there are the SCL and SDA lines, the I2C connections for the external compass. So what we could do here is I could 3D print a custom bracket to go at the front that would replace this one that's set for an action camera and mount a GPS on there, and then connect that up and flash and configure this board with iNav. Would that make an interesting video? Would that be something that you're interested in? If you do, then do leave a comment down below and I'll make another video and we'll swap this little fella over to iNav, because the last time I did an iNav build, I think it was about 1.6, 1.7 on a quadcopter, and I've done loads of iNav stuff on things like fixed wing, but I haven't done one for a very long time on a quad. Thank you for taking the time to watch that video, and particularly for watching right to the very end. We try and release a video on Tuesday and Friday, and sometimes we'll release 1 or 2 extra ones in a week as well. All of the videos on the channel are organised into easy to use playlists, so do have a look in there, because if you're interested in a subject, we organise all the videos on that subject so you can find them easily all together in one place. If you like what we're doing, then please like and subscribe and tell others about the channel so they can come and join as well. We're available in all of the usual social media places, particularly in places like Instagram, Twitter, and we also share all of our 3D designs on Thingiverse.